What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. In today's video, we're going to talk about the latest, juiciest story in the hobby right now, which is eBay announcing to the world that they have banned PWCC, which is one of the biggest auction houses for sports cards and any other collectibles, from its platform, and PWCC's response to them 3 hours later. And before we get started, today's video is brought to you by MySlaps. MySlaps is a peer-to-peer marketplace where buyers and sellers can transact on graded cards, graded comics, NFTs, waxes, everything that you can think about that is legitimate. It takes out all the headache of a very convoluted fee structure that we see with other consignment companies or other platforms where you can sell these things. And they also do a very good job of vetting out both buyers and sellers using their historical information, as well as reference checkpoints that give you that confidence that you are trading, in a safe environment with very limited fees attached to each of those transactions. So go check them out. I'll leave the links below. 1% seller's fee, you just can't beat that anywhere else. So make sure to go check them out. And if you have used MySlaps before, leave a comment below of your experience so far. Okay, let's get right into it. So let me just quickly summarize what eBay has announced today. eBay sent out a note basically, and I'll read it to you for word, where they have determined that individuals associated with a trading card seller, PWCC, has engaged in shill bidding, which is prohibited on eBay. As a result, eBay has restricted PWCC's selling privileges and listings effective today. And from, kind of this language, you can tell that they have done a lot of investigation, and, I think this was probably news for PWCC as well, and we'll see that in PWCC's response. But before we get into that, let's understand what shill bidding is, right? Like, for those of you who are not familiar, shill bidding, according to eBay's website, is when someone bids on an item to artificially increase its price, desirability, or search standing. So, think about situations where, you have a listing up on eBay for auction, and, you want to drive that demand to make it, look like it's a hot product, hot item, and to drive up the price of the item before the auction ends. You ask a friend or family member, or maybe you use, your parents' eBay account to drive up the bid on the auction, etc. Like, those things I think are what we're referring to here, and that's completely illegal on eBay's platform. So that's something that eBay just came out of nowhere and just announced to its users, and I think the email was sent out to everyone who has bought something from PWCC. So I received that email and was very shocked to find it. So before we dive into what I think about this situation, let's read PWCC's response, which came about 3 hours later. So PWCC, this is an email that I have received from them, says they were shocked to see eBay's email today stating that unidentified individuals associated with PWCC engaged in shill bidding. To their knowledge, its employees have never engaged in any behavior that violates eBay's agreements and policies. But essentially, PWCC kind of says they are considering all available legal options in response to the defamatory press release, because obviously this is a very, very bad PR for PWCC. Essentially, you're saying that as a company you agreed to and you green lighted this illegal activity. So it's a very big attack on this image of trust, which is very, very important. Obviously, if you think about the amount of inventory that's sitting in PWCC's vault today, I don't even know how much it is, but it's just a lot of cards in there. And so if you lose that trust with your consumers and your end users, you're going to lose business real quick overnight. And there are growing competitors in the space with just as secure vault system, just as attractive fee structure. And so for them, if they lose that image of trust and faith, it's not going to be good for them in terms of future business. So they are getting ready to basically take legal actions on this, and I don't think this is their first time being in a legal suit, to be honest. I think one knowledge that I have is PWCC is in a FBI led investigation around trimming cards and etc., things like that. So I'm sure they have the right folks in play in their legal teams to get ready for a big long fight. And something that they mentioned also here is that PWCC, sees this as an opportunity to become, like their own auction house platform, and this might have become a catalyst in a sense where they kind of go full on to their own website. And so I know that they have done premium auctions in the past that did really, really well for that price range point that golden auction doesn't really attend to too much. So golden auction, I would say if it's anything above $100,000, potentially it's appropriate to go there. But anything in below that but greater than maybe $10,000 in that range, I heard that through anecdotal stories that I've heard that they do really well on PWCC's premium auction. So it'll be very interesting what kind of direction they take in using their own platform to service this auction that they have been pumping through with eBay with a very favorable fee structure, and we'll get into that right now. So first of all, the very first question you might have is, how does this impact eBay? I think I've also heard through many different people that PWCC is the biggest seller on eBay. I can't confirm that. I don't see any credible sources to kind of confirm that. But even if it was, right, the estimated revenue that PWCC generated for eBay was roughly around $200 million each year, which is not small. It's actually very, very large. But let's take a look at eBay's market cap and like where they are financially to see if this is going to be materially different, materially impacting eBay's future. So we're gonna go here on Google Finance website, and we're looking at eBay's stock price here. So they're trading at $72 a share. They have a market cap of almost 50 billion. So not a small company by any means, and they've been around for a while. So let's look at what their revenue performance looks like. So the assumption here is that PWCC does roughly around 200 million in revenue in auctions on the eBay platform, and eBay reported in 2020, fiscal year 2020, a revenue of over $10 billion. So 200 million, I don't know if that's an accurate estimate or not, but that is the number that I've been seeing around, over 10.27 billion. I think that's roughly around 1 to 1.5% of their entire revenue, which if you think about it, is not small actually. And the fact that eBay is taking this stance and willing to lose that much revenue just shows that they are taking this very seriously. And I think that's probably the right move for eBay, because when you kind of become part of this potentially illegal activity, the blame really falls on eBay as well if it actually gets into trial and they go to court, or if there's an investigation at FBI level again, things like that. Like eBay can get really impacted from that kind of action suit. And so this was probably a smart move to just kind of detach away from anything not super clear. And as a publicly traded company, your shares are going to tank if you get negative PR and you're kind of questioned about your ethics and how you manage your potential sellers on the platform, things like that. So I think this was a good move on eBay just to be kind of safe. And I don't think that this could be a permanent thing. Surely if PWCC comes back with enough evidence to support that there wasn't a shill bidding going on, I think the table can certainly turn where eBay understands that maybe there was a misunderstanding, there was a misinformation, things like that. So I don't think it's permanent, but it could be. But they definitely didn't say like this was an indefinite decision. But something to note here, and this is on eBay's website, is frequently asked questions under shill bidding policy. It says, how do I report shill bidding? And this is a very interesting response from eBay's support team is, if you think that another member is shill bidding, you don't need to report to us, right? eBay has a number of systems in place to detect and monitor bidding patterns and practices. If we identify any malicious behavior, we'll take steps to prevent it. And so what they're saying is they have appropriate measures already in play, whether that's algorithmic or whether that's manual review. And I'm pretty sure it's a little bit of both, having worked in tech companies for a while now, we do a lot of work around trust and safety and fraud work, because there's just so many of them out there. And we definitely use a modeling exercise to kind of, maintain the top of the funnel, like of the sellers and buyers that come through. But there's also a manual review and manual just kind of observation that actually becomes very critical in making these kind of big decisions, where you are essentially cutting off a customer who's been bringing in 1% of your revenue. So that's kind of where I see it impacting eBay, is they were probably trying to cut the ties before they got too intertwined with PWCC, and there might have been red flags for a while, but it took them some time to investigate and fully have that evidence ready in order to announce these kind of big news. So how does this announcement impact PWCC? So historically, PWCC is not the cleanest company either. If I will let you guys do the digging, if you go to blowout forums, or just ask anyone who's been in the hobby for more than 3 years, they will tell you every stories and their personal encounters even about PWCC. Cards have gotten lost going to the vault at PWCC. Obviously there's like questionable bidding patterns that we've seen on eBay. There's just a lot of stories around it. And then, like I mentioned, there's that FBI investigation right now going on with PWCC involved in that, with like trimming cards and then, getting them graded and all of that, bad stuff. And so I don't think that the image of PWCC was great to begin with. So let's say they were about C minus in a chart of, maybe a NPS score or something like that. But this is definitely a big blow for them. One, it's an immediate loss of revenue, because eBay is, cutting off PWCC completely after the live auctions that are in right now. I think about 17,000 of them complete. After that, PWCC can no longer list those on eBay. And so from a seller's perspective, I think one of the big advantage of vaulting with PWCC was that you have an easy access to sell your cards on eBay, which attracts by far the greatest amount of audience into your item. Global presence, most people use eBay. It's very easy to use, and so that now is gone. And two, the big reason, and this is personally for me too, reason why I decided to vault some of my cards with PWCC was that the fee structure with that PWCC had with eBay was very favorable. So as a regular seller, I would pay, I think 13%, roughly around there, to sell a card on eBay after. So, if I sold a card for $100, I would get $87 back. And, that's a huge chunk, right? But if you use PWCC to sell on eBay, I think the rep told me, and I've never sold with PWCC on eBay before, so I could be very off in my numbers, but the rep told me that it was going to be about 8%. They have a negotiated fee structure for items that are sold by PWCC and consigned with PWCC. So that was a huge draw for me, right? And so now that those are gone, buyers and sellers are both going to wonder what's going to happen to this market. Is it going to get penetrated by other competitors in the space to come in and get those consignments away from PWCC, or is PWCC able to pivot and create their own auction house, varying from hundreds of dollars to hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? Which we haven't seen done well before. Golden focuses on the highest end cards, and that's where the higher end collectors are attracted to. And then you have PWCC and Probstein on eBay of items that really range from hundreds of dollars, even less maybe sometimes, to 5-digit, six-digit cards. And we know there are other platforms like Alt, etc., that does this like exchange style selling structure, but we just haven't seen it done well and tested out yet. And so I think the route that PWCC, my hypothesis is that PWCC is going to go that route where they have enough inventory. Clearly they have enough audience already, people using the platform already, by downloading the app or on their desktop, that they're going to kind of, you know, bring in those attention and usability from eBay onto their own platform, and perhaps introduce even like a better fee structure, maybe not 8%, maybe 7% or something like that, to make sure they log and retain their customers. That's my guess. But again, it's going to be a lot of late nights for, I think, PWCC's PR team and strategy team to, you know, kind of navigate through this tough times, whether they mend the relationship with eBay by giving them evidence of like not shill bidding, whether that route, or kind of completely turning away from eBay, ditching it entirely and creating their own platform. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I think it's either of those two. So yeah, that's my take on this huge news today in the hobby. I had to film this out for you guys to give you the latest and greatest and my thoughts and my take on it. But it'll be very interesting to see how this unfolds. And this is good for us as hobbyists and collectors to get visibility into these kind of stuff. It'll be very interesting how this story ends. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
That was awesome.